Right, this is going to be a different topic, and this topic is going to be about cases. Now, case manufacturers, most people will be like, I want to go with Corsair, NZXT, Thermaltake, Be Quiet, those sort of cases. But then we've got cheaper entry-level cases like Kolink. And the thing is there anything different from a cheaper case to a more expensive case? Is there more competition going along? And it's good to have competition because there's a highly saturated market out there with loads of people coming in and they're just like branding every case they can do, putting like tempered glass on it, RGBs, Strouds, captive thumb screws, making it look more of a nice design, unique design. But what a case manufacturers are doing is kind of killing off the intake, the airflow from the front of the case. Some of them killed the intake from the exhaust from the top, just to make the case look aesthetically pleasing. Now, manufacturers need to stop doing that. They need to make sure that the case can breathe. No matter what the price is, it could be a very expensive case and they could just close it off just for the design looks. But then if you've got really expensive components, what's going to happen is it's going to starve the components. It's going to be hard to dissipate heat from the heat sinks, especially NVMe that runs hot, graphics cards run hot. I'm talking about normal builds with graphics cards, no like onboard graphics with a motherboard and like a CPU and all that sort of stuff. Talking about actual builds. So if we're talking, even if it's water cooling, like it could be AIO water cooling, like some people say like 120 is like the minimum amount. It depends on the CPU. The CPU can produce a lot of heat. Depends on the cores as well. The more cores, the more heat it produces, and it's more that it needs to dissipate out the system, especially when it comes to graphics cards. That's always got heat. It needs to dissipate heat easily out of the case, no problem. So when it comes down to it, it's basically, Roger, what case is a decent case to buy? So, well, we're here now. Let's have a quick look. So I'm on overclockers. We've got Kolink, that's entry-level cases. They do nice, decent cases. Now, if you're just starting entry-level, you can get a case basically for free, all the way up to like thousands for a case. That's electronic and does stuff. Or someone that custom makes it and mods it and sprays it up and all that sort of stuff, you can get that done as well. Most cases in the industry right now, 2019, what is a decent price to obviously pay for a case is probably like 40, 50, all the way to £80 is a decent medium-sized case that will fit micro ATX, mini ATX, normal ATX. Some could even fit like extended ATX motherboards in it, but then it doesn't have grommet holes, or it might be a little bit like awkward to get a big extended motherboard in there. And if you're going to buy an extended motherboard, then technically probably going to spend quite a lot of money on that extended motherboard because they're not going to be cheap because they've got more components, more dissipating heat, and it's more of a top tier board. Now, if you're going for a normal ATX motherboard, you can get really cheap ones all the way to quite expensive ATX motherboards. Now, if you're going for a mini mini ITX or micro ATX, what you're going to have is like a square motherboard, and you've got like a really small motherboard, and some of them you can get like that are quite not really cheap, but reasonable, like ATX medium sort of price, all the way up because it's got Wi-Fi and it's got Bluetooth on there and stuff like that, and it's got like a little bit RGB, but doesn't dissipate heat as well, and it hasn't got the. Some motherboards do have NVMe where you can put on the back of the motherboard, but it's really awkward to get to and stuff like that. And some of them have like an extra extended slot where you can obviously add that on there. Now, anyway, let's talk about the cases because it's very important that you know the components before you actually buy the case. But most people will be like, right, I'm going to get an ATX case, it's got to have a cut out holes, got to have a shroud to cover up my cable mess, and that's how they go. And some of them like obviously putting AIO water cooling because they've heard that water cooling is the way forward, but it's not always the way forward because if you're like doing studio sort of sound, you don't really want to have vibrations and loud noise, so you need to choose a case that's going to be quite decent. So a case would probably be like Be Quiet, because Be Quiet has sound dampening on the side panel, probably on the top and on the front, and they got like sound dampening on the PSU. Some people like go, oh, I'm gonna obviously go with a cheaper PSU, but sometimes it can ramp up. If you buy a more expensive PSU, it kind of like ramps up and it's like basically stop, it doesn't even move. Graphics cards can do that depending on the price. Obviously you're paying more for that sort of quality. Now let's talk about Kolink quickly. So if I go find out more quickly. Right, so there's a case there, $34.99, and we've got RGB on it. Now, what do we get with RGB? And obviously SSD slots and mechanical hard drives that someone wants to store their storage on. Now, this case is quite a nice looking case. I might even get it for review because I need to do some cheaper cases and just obviously educate people that it's okay to have a cheaper case, it will still do the job. So looking at the case straight away, as you can see, we've got like, this is the problem with cases. Cases look so sleek and nice design. If someone comes around your house, they see that, they're not in use to computers, they're gonna be like, what is that? That looks excellent. If you've got custom auto calling, even better, but you're not gonna have custom auto calling in this case unless you really want to do it. And it's not probably worth it. It's probably just worth putting like CPU cooler in that's a little bit more budget orientated, and or an AIO cooler, maybe 120, because you're probably not going to use expensive components in there. Right, so on the side there, you can see clearly that there's an intake on the side, but I can't see on the other side there, but it's more focused on the RGB strip. This is what brings you in, a nice attraction. Nice sort of a wrap around the front, makes it look really nice. But technically what I would want this to be able to breathe, like from the front, intake of cool air, exhaust at the back, and exhaust at the top. Exhaust be at the top for the heat sinks. You've got one on the back and then one at the top. And then you've got graphics card there as well, and it breathes in. Some graphics cards can go there, but heat rises at the end of the day, or it's going to be sucked in like inwards and then out to the back and then out to the top. And then the cool air should be doing from the front. So this is what you're going to lose with the price. That's the difference. But even it happens on expensive cases. So this is the Inspire Series K5 RGB mid-tower case. So it's all about the RGB, tempered glass and everything like that. But look at the competition of that price. That is a competition price right there, $34.99. They've got 50 in stock and you can order within 2 hours and get it for next day delivery, just like that. Now that's pretty good. And it's got addressable RGBs. So they're not even got normal RGBs or LEDs. They've got addressable RGBs, really good high quality RGBs in there. It's stating, what have we got here? So it's saying strikingly attractive front RGB lighting. This is the first thing they're talking about. Not that it's a gaming computer or anything like that. It's addressable RGBs. Side panel is tinted, tempered glass with PSU shroud. Everything what a client, like a customer would want. Space for 360mm radiator. That is awesome in such a very budget orientated case. Now that AIO is probably going to cost a bit at 360mm, but it's showing that you can put a big one in there. But it's going to be useless if it's going on the front here because there's not much of an intake for the actual radiator itself, but it still can be placed there. Now if you're using lower power consumption or lower components, so power components like CPU is like Core i3 or something like that, it's going to be less powerful, like low-end graphics cards like RX, no, not even RX, like 1050 Ti or a 1060 let's think what else is there quite low profile, for like a RX 550 by AMD or a 2600, you know, like CPU, or Intel, what else we've got, Celeron, those sort of low power CPUs, and that would be perfect for this case, and it will really reflect on the actual case, and it does look gaming as well, and it's got a nice little flair to it, and it's got like little feet and stuff. Space for a graphics card up to 310mm in length. The CPU coolers are 160mm. That is pretty decent. It's a nice bit of clearance, not super big, but it's big enough because it's only a medium-sized case. I/O panel with USB 3 and USB 2, so it goes backwards, but it's also got USB 3, which is kind of the standard. Then it's got a load of information, and what's it even made out of? Does it even say? Material steel case, so it's going to be a little bit weighty, and obviously the glass, and it's got a plastic front. So I'm guessing with different medium cases, mid-size cases, when you pull off the front, it might have everything attached to the I/O, which you can rip, and then obviously the cables can come out, which means that you can't use the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone jack, power button or reset button. Sometimes something could just come loose. You might have to solder it in there. That's what it's good for. Then we go like this. What have we got here? $44.99. So this is like £10 more. And this one's just an RGB one. Stylish case for motherboards at ATX. That does look very sleek. What have we got here? This one has got a longer room for the graphics card, but same CPU size. This has got space of 360mm and 280mm for the actual case. And as you can see, this is the air pockets that we've got on the side. Very minimalistic, low budget orientated. It's showing you basically the RGBs, side panels, it's what it is. You've got room for a 120, it looks like at the back there, that you can go up a little bit. So not a proper clean slot, but just pop holes are in there as well. You got USB 3, USB 2. You got 2 USB 2s and 1 USB 3, reset button, 3.5mm jack, headphone jack, power button, and reset button on the top there. It's pretty cool. I like the way the case is. These will be where the SSDs come through. Then you can drive through your 24-pin cable, your graphics card cables. It looks like you can put a slightly bigger motherboard in there as well, and then obviously have that going in there. Your Stroud is pretty clean looking, but there's just not enough airflow. SSDs galore, 7 expansion slots, and at the top we've got EPS or 8-pin or 4-pin connectors at the top, and then obviously RGBs. You got you've got a couple of slots there. So it is pretty well made. They are thinking about it and keeping the price down. It's really hard to beat these sort of things. Now, if I go to a more known brand, so if I go to PC cases, let's go to manufacturers. We've got Aerocool, they're good in Russia and other countries that just want a case that works kind of thing. Anades is a bit like that. Casa has been going around for years, but they're more focused on the small form factor computers, which produce a lot of heat and stuff as well. So you've got to have a lot of thermal things going on there. Asus started to make cases. Got Be Quiet. They make a lot of cases, from really small cases to big cases. Then they've got the power supplies that go with it. So that's pretty cool. Cooler Master, they always do cases. You've got some cases that are kind of cheap and some of them are good. They're like coming back a little bit. Corsair, I've had a lot of Corsair cases. As you can see, there's a lot of difference in price there. If I click into this one's more of a high-end like cube case, and it just looks super nice. So you've got like RGB fans that are all on there, and they're all like come with the actual case itself. You got all rubber grommets on there, but still a lack of airflow, but better cable management, fan controllers or maybe RGB controllers. It just looks really well set out on the side panel there. It comes with grills and stuff. You can have the graphics card situated on the front, but it looks like it's not that much clearance from the front of the window. But you've got the PSUs like in a separate bit. What you got 120 or 140mm fan at the back. If you've got 140 on the back, it's going to be a little bit more quieter. It just looks so much nicer. You've got a 2-year warranty with this as well, but it's like £219. But this is more higher end quality. You've got USB 3, we've got USB 3.1, we've got Type C. And we've got warranty all on top of whatever we got as well. And we've got options like front radio support, like 360, 280, top radiator support 280, 240, bottom radiator support 280, 240. It's got extended motherboard, ATX, micro ATX, mini ITX. You've got storage for 2.5, 3.5 like you do with normal stuff, but it's just got all the other added stuff. It's pretty decent. I really do like it. So literally, okay, so these, you just got loads of cases and you can get them in different colors, different sizes, bit more airflow, there's a little bit more engineered, thought out and stuff, but most of them look really, really tasty. But when you're dealing with bigger companies, they've got to come with bigger prices. But we'll go into this a bit more because I'm going to get a case and obviously speak about that with like a cheaper case and a high-end case. But anyway, subscribe and comment down below if you want to answer me any questions about any like these cases and stuff, about airflow, which is good case to buy in 2019. What's going to keep my hot components cool, or just like if you've got lower powered components, what do you want to like have a case for? What's a decent price? Subscribe, share, follow me on all social media platforms. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Roger out.